AI in Action is brought to you by Alldus International, covering your business's staffing, consulting, and networking needs. Our host brings you the leading minds in AI, sharing their story, their success, and their advice. Focusing on fast-tracking you to the top, AI in Action cuts through the hype to help you kickstart your data science career. To listen to the latest AI in Action podcast, head over to www.alldus.com/podcast or subscribe via iTunes, Stitcher, or Google Podcasts.
You're listening to AI in Action. I'm your host, JP Valentine. Our guest today is Adam Blue. Adam is EVP and CTO of Q2 eBanking. Adam, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, JP. I'm happy to be here.
No, it's our pleasure. Adam, let's start with yourself. Can you take us through your journey in tech, where you first got started, what drew you into it, what got you interested, and then talk us through some of the roles you've held along the way, taking us up to your role at Q2.
So I started with technology really early. My grandparents gave me a TI 99 4A when I was 9 years old, and that really dates me, but that's fine. So you can back into that and figure out how old I am. From the beginning, I loved playing games on it. I loved even just typing on it. It felt pretty otherworldly, pretty powerful. And then I had a BASIC cartridge, so I started writing things in BASIC. And throughout my whole adolescence and adult life, I would get very engaged with technology, and then I would step away, and I would get engaged again and step away. And so I did some graduate work in economics, computational economics, incidentally, at the University of Texas with some really brilliant people. And I was doing a lot of coding, and I was doing a lot of other technology work to help process data and help a lot of the research professors there manage data, manipulate data, and do the research. And it really dawned on me and one of my professors, and after a dissertation advisory meeting, he said, I feel like you like the tools more than you like the economics. And I went away and thought about that, and it was a really great piece of feedback from him, because I left the PhD program and kind of started doing freelance IT after that. I was very lucky in terms of timing, because I came out of a university that was very, very internet connected before the internet really hit the mainstream. And so I helped a company called Hart Hanks build up a tremendous kind of web application portfolio. We went from 2 servers to 400 servers. And this is in the old days when you would buy parts and put them in a case and put them in a rack, not like it is today. So I was in a lot better shape back then, because the cases were really heavy. I spent some time in the email, antivirus, and anti-spam space with a company called CipherTrust that was sold to Secure Computing and then McAfee, and that was really interesting. That was kind of in the heyday before there were really great enterprise class solutions for spam and virus, and that's where I really started to work with engineers and do some work on my own around machine learning and other kinds of machine intelligence. We were using techniques like genetic algorithm and techniques like iterative training methods to arrive at solutions to the spam identification problem that were pretty powerful. But honestly, the bulk of my adult technology career has predominantly been spent in financial services. First at a company called QUp, and then at a company called Q2, where we really focused on bringing digital technology to community banks. And so I'm always happy that I've had the experiences I've had outside of the financial services fintech space, whether it's in the security space or in the direct marketing space. But I would say I've really come to love working at the intersection of people's financial lives and technology, and so that's kind of the background and a little bit of how I got where I am at now, which is Q2, and I've actually been here for almost 15 years. Which is a lot longer than I ever intended to work in one job.
Yeah, which is a lifetime in tech years. But Adam, first of all, thank you for the background. Really interesting journey. It's great to hear you talk about that inflection point and that pretty pivotal moment with your professor having that conversation, because it seems like it's shaped the entire direction from there. So talking about Q2, you've been there for coming up on 15 years now. So tell us about Q2 and specifically then what your role involves as the CTO.
Yeah. So when we started, I think I was maybe the 22nd, 23rd employee, and I had almost all of the technical functions of the organization: QA, engineering, implementation, support, data center hosting, security. And keep in mind, these were all one or two person departments, so it's not nearly as glorified as it sounds. As we continue to grow, then we brought in additional managers and additional executives as the team matured. And at this point, I have a very small organization, 4 engineers who are part of our fellowship program. They report directly to me, and I am the CTO across the digital banking part of the business, and then I help coordinate the activities and technology integration, as well as technology strategy for other pieces of the business around lending automation, account opening, back office processing, and fraud management, and then our BaaS open banking. But I'm still, my primary engagement is around the digital channel. It's the biggest part of the business. And then I work with other key stakeholders and technologists in the other businesses that are kind of smaller but growing very, very rapidly. And so that's kind of the place I sit. It's a role I really, really enjoy, and I think it's pretty enviable to be able to work across the business and within the business. And I feel like not having 250 employee organizations gives me a lot of time back in my day to really spend time focusing on strategy.
Very much so. So looking a little deeper then into Q2, because I'm certainly familiar with you guys from my multiple conversations with the team, but there's some amazing things happening at Q2 and revolutionizing how you're utilizing data and technology to improve banking across all levels, from digital banking to credit unions, both in the US and internationally. Can you give us some insight into what Q2 are doing differently and how you're impacting the customer's experience from a data first perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. So we started 2008 through 2011 and built a product that we now call Sentinel, which uses machine learning to identify potentially fraudulent ACH and wire payments. And that's been a tremendously successful product that really represented our entree into the machine learning space in terms of applying it to financial problems. And that's had a direct impact by literally stopping fraud in real time for customers. So that's probably the first example. After we got that launched and we saw the power of using data in this way, we really restructured the entire digital platform around using data to understand customers and map to their problems and not just deliver great software. And so one of the things I think that's different about the way Q2 approaches it is not only do we have a great data science practice and a very strong data engineering practice that work with the data and produce and provide insights, but we also have capabilities within the product to actually turn those insights into action on the part of end users. And so, for example, we've done a lot of work with customers to identify collaborative filtering and other machine learning driven models around next best product. And our smart offering allows them to take what they know about customers and turn that into real action on the part of account holders as they see offers for the products that would create the most financial value for them. So I think, again, we're very strong with data, and we've done a lot of great things with data and machine learning. But what's really powerful is the way we take the value and the intelligence of those teams and turn that into part of the customer experience so that it really matters in terms of driving value for the account holder.
Thank you for that. Talk us through some of the challenges that you face on a daily basis with a multifaceted role, both at your level at CTO, but also for your data team, because you're dealing with multiple customers across continent, varying in size and complexity. Can you give us some insight into what a typical monthly project cycle would look like, how many things you're juggling at any one time, and how you and your team will prioritize what's most important and what you guys are working on?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. We really try to think of product management from the perspective of value to the end user and the job to be done, instead of thinking of it from the perspective of let's build some amazing software. I think we end up building amazing software, but by being focused on the value outcome for the end user and the financial institution, it makes prioritization a lot easier. Having said that, there's a lot of competing resource demand around things that are maybe less exciting, like extracts of data to feed data warehouses at customers, or kind of day-to-day operational reporting. But they're no less important in building the picture of the product portfolio than advanced machine learning or data analysis, or really fascinating kind of machine intelligence. So we have a couple different groups in the organization that work on different parts of the problem. And one of the places where I feel like I add a fair amount of value is in helping them coordinate their efforts and in helping them ensure that they're mapping the things that they're excited about and the technology that they want to use directly onto the mission in terms of the way it impacts customers. And so in a given day, I might work with one team to help define the strategy around how we will use Google protocol buffers to build structured messaging to sit on Kafka topics for the rapid movement of data between components. I might actually talk to a customer about how we would approach a particular problem that they want to try and solve in digital banking using our technology solutions. I might spend time with a market analyst explaining some of our approach to the market and how we create value at Q2. And so really just a broad kind of range of activities around coordinating, helping drive priority. I think it's very easy, even for a very skilled engineer or a very skilled analyst, to end up a little myopic about the problem at hand that they're trying to solve and the technology they use to solve it. So I find it's always useful to reorient around the perspective of solving customer problems and falling in love with the problem more than falling in love with the solution. And I think we found that to be pretty effective, as an approach since the beginning of the company.
Yeah, I think it's great to hear that you're speaking about it at the C-suite level, because we know from speaking to many people in this space, the best people, whether it's data scientists, machine learning engineers, or software engineers, they want to feel like what they're doing is having an impact. And I know you've spoken about the business impact, but it's clear that resonates at all levels. Can you give us some insight then into your team? Talk about how you go about managing your team, what makes up a good data team at all facets, and how you've gone about identifying the types of people to work with, and what works well in such a fluid environment.
Yeah, I think one of the things I would tell you that we find really valuable is diversity. And when I say diversity, I mean that in both the very relevant current definition of people from different backgrounds, focusing on having female engineers of color, focusing on differing perspectives. But I have never seen a problem that got solved any faster because every single person took exactly the same approach to the problem. We've generally found, especially in highly creative areas of work and research, is that having people from different backgrounds with different experiences across the gamut of measures of diversity is really powerful in creating solutions that end up being robust and thoughtful, as opposed to solutions that are very oriented around a particular way of thinking. In engineering and problem solving, just like in any other part of life, there's plenty of confirmation bias. There's plenty of pre-existing bias around the way to approach the problem. There's the set of bias that arises from people having all had very similar experiences. And more often than not, we can find evidence, if we're not careful, of those kinds of biases, showing up in the design process and even the engineering process around a piece of software. So one of the things that's absolutely critical for us is to make sure that we have enough engaged stakeholders with a disparate enough set of skills and experiences that when we orient on a problem, like how do we approach, say, financial wellness for someone that is income insecure over a period of time, understanding that problem requires a broader set of human experience to be applied to it. I think then you're going to see in a lot of organizations that I've seen and worked in before. And so we've really made that a priority for us, because I think the broader the set of perspectives we can bring to a problem, the more of that problem space you can uncover before you end up a solution.
Financial services in general has been quite Well, it's been impacted significantly by COVID. It's been quite turbulent, and the road ahead is somewhat unpredictable. But looking at the positive side of an organization like Q2, or using data heavily to drive the business forward and continue to innovate, can you give us some insight into what you're most excited about for the next 12 to 24 months at Q2, and more importantly, what type of growth do you expect to see in the data team?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things I love about Q2, and I love this for engineers, is that when they build something, it goes out to 15 million people. I've spent time in a lot of startups, and I've worked in a couple startups where the product never really shipped, and there was an acquisition, or the startup spun down. And in my mind, there's nothing more frustrating than putting energy into something and not getting that software experience in front of actual end users. And so we're in a position where if our data engineers come up with a better way to identify an opportunity or a challenge for a financial customer at a bank, and we can map that to a solution at the financial institution that can help that person on their financial journey, that's got extraordinary value at the end of the day. And so the opportunity at Q2 is to work in service of the mission, which is to build strong and diverse communities by strengthening community financial institutions. And when we say that, what we're really talking about is ensuring that our banks and credit unions can serve their communities and drive the kinds of solutions that are inclusive and effective in helping people go on their financial journey. So if you are a data scientist, if you're a data engineer, if you're an analyst, and you can identify a way to change the way someone perceives what's happening in their bank account, to change the way that products are offered to someone, if you can find a way to reduce risk for them, or just suggest another way for them to manage their financial lives, that's an extraordinary impact that goes out to 15 million plus end users of the product. And that's a level of reach and range that you're really not going to get in a lot of software engineering or data engineering jobs. In terms of where we go with the team, I would, budget notwithstanding, I would hire every great data scientist and every data engineer we can get our hands on, because the value of the platform will be defined on how we can learn about our customers with data and then turn that into action and experience that honors their relationship with the financial institution. But we've made pretty substantial shifts in resource allocation into data engineering and data science, and you will see us continue to grow in that area for the foreseeable future, as there's more and more of a shift in the software engineering space to leveraging data into great experiences and deep engagement with customers. And we spend less and less time on feature construction and infrastructure and some of the things that have really gotten more mature for us as a company.
It's so refreshing to hear that not only is an organization looking to innovate from the top down, but you're also encouraging innovation from the bottom up, and you're creating an entrepreneurial environment where new ideas are encouraged and cultivated. And I think that's any data engineer, machine learning, data scientist, that's their dream environment. So it's great to hear. Adam, I really appreciate you coming on, talking to us about not just your own background, but Q2. It's amazing what you guys are doing with innovation in banking that's impacting a local level. It's exciting growth, and I know there's exciting times ahead, particularly in 2021. So we appreciate you coming on to talk to us.
Great. Thanks very much, JP. I enjoyed it.
AI in Action is brought to you by Alldus International, covering your business's staffing, consulting, and networking needs. Alldus offer an exec search program. Alldus can help you discover how data science and AI can transform your company. With our unrivaled network of C-suite executives and senior AI professionals, we offer retained search services across the US and Europe. Get the Alldus advantage. Become a member of the Alldus community and enjoy some of the following: AI meetups. Once a month, our community gathers to listen to some of the leading experts in the world of data science and AI. Our speakers come from all over the world, including Dublin, Boston, and Frankfurt. We also have our AI mentors. Our experts will provide mentoring to Alldus members. And don't forget our AI in Action podcast. Each week we have guests from all over the world talking us through their education, career, and more. Become an Alldus member and get the Alldus advantage. For more information and to sign up for our newsletter, log on to www.alldus.com. That's www.alldus.com. Alldus International, empowering through AI.